Courage in a chokehold. Stan wished for two things at the moment: to not be fighting, and that he didn't love greasy Philly cheesesteaks. He was letting it out. He was letting it all out in the toilet, and he thinks how did he get talked into this nonsense. After Stan watched the throw up out of his mouth, he sat down in the room and tried to get his nerves under control, feeling like trying to capture a storm by their short hair. What was the song I picked for when I walked down the aisle? The sounds and rhythms are synchronized energy with fighting, but the sympathy of the butterflies in his stomach are only cheering on his anxiety. Furthermore, his brain keeps going back to the time when he was looking for something that he was missing. Son stopped when his father came in talking about his father. "Hey, son, how you doing?" Sanders sighed and told him, "I'm a little anxious, my nerves are a little frayed, but I'm doing some deep breathing to get my heart rate down." His father looks sad and tells him, "It's okay if you want to quit. It's scary being a fighter." This angers Stan. He says, "That's fine to say that when you never really did anything strenuous. I'm fighting for more than myself. I can't let my team down." Similarly, his father looks hurt and says, "It is foolish to hurt yourself for others. You should only care about your safety." At this, Stan huffs and tells him, "This is for fighters and not whiners. You should see yourself out." His father makes a pitiful look and leaves muttering his breath like a coward. Stan was doing some more relaxation techniques when some of his teammates showed up trying to talk him out of the fight. The two, Steve and Stefan, trains at his gym and just started. They haven't gone to their first tournament. It starts with Steve saying, "Stan, man can just pull out the fight and you would still be tougher than most people at the gym." Seven pipes up, "Yeah, nobody will give you credit. You just got to tell them to do their own fight." Stan rolls his eye and says, "Professor Michael said it's not being the toughest, but who can be the most tenacious that makes a warrior." They both shake their head and Stan then shoots with, "If you're not going to help me get ready, then please get out." They leave with their heads down. Stan was just getting his nerves under his control. He saw that nobody else showed up, and then a mountain of a man walked in. The man calmly came in and asked, "How's it going, Stan? Getting ready for the fight?" This man in question was armed to the hilt with muscle and knowledge of the martial arts. His name is Professor Michael. He was the owner of his own gym. When he squeezed a man's throat like a necklace, he wouldn't turn your neck green. Also, he had 2 decades of fighting experience and only taught battle-tested BJJ. Not a influencer keyboard warrior, but the real deal. Stan stands there for a second and says, "I'm just feeling nervous, coach. What do you do to beat the nerves?" At this, Professor Michael laughs and says, "Nerves can never be truly silenced, but you can lessen their impact by doing more of this." Stan sighed and asked, "Sir, what if the thing that I fear most isn't in the ring, but it's hurting me than a good punch?" Professor Michael goes from trying to serious and says, "Stan, you need to know something about endeavors like this, and you need to know who are you doing this for." Professor Michael takes a deep breath and asks, "Do you remember when you first came to my gym?" Stan was taken aback and tries to recollect what his reason was. He couldn't quite find that memory. This leads to the Professor continuing his story. "You came in scared and running from something. You wanted confidence in your ability to protect yourself." Stan was a different person at that time. It's much more different than when he walked in. He continues, "I saw you start and you were constantly anxious. It was so bad you had to pick a place in the bag so that you could track people." Stan was worried when he started. It was hard at first. It got better the more he did it. The Professor continues with, "Then you got more comfortable, and instead of being hesitant, you started to be more relaxed." Professor goes on, "You started helping out training camps, hanging outside the gym. You had finally beaten the one opponent that mattered. Stan thinks about his sparring, how it's average when compared to everybody else in the gym. He keeps saying what it was they beat. He just keeps asking, 'What did I beat?' Professor smiles and says, you beat your own shell and broke through the better for it. That fear is a slow death that nearly all endure without remorse." This takes a back stand. He says, "I just really don't want to lose and look weak in front of the gym. That's what I'm fighting for." Professor looks at this and says sternly, "You need to do this for yourself. It would be nice to win, but just getting out there is a major accomplishment." The Professor keeps going on the same tangent. "I asked you to fight and I expect you to give your best. Leave out everything on the mat." This nearly brings tears to Stan's eyes, and he asks, "Well, if I don't think that my best is good enough?" Professor asks, "Do you know the one piece of advice that's helped me in fighting in life? A gym I had to suffer for?" Stan's ears perk up and he leans to the wisdom that will soon be dropped into his lap. At this, the Professor says, "If you give 100% of what you put in, you will literally have nothing left over to feel bad about." This shocks Stan, and he just shakes his head. "That makes a lot of sense. Most people are too scared to even try. They don't want to be judged." Professor shakes his head and says, "I know that you're afraid to lose, but don't be. Win or lose, you always have a home at my gym." This makes Stan light up and puts the anxiety in his stomach to rest. It can't show him if he doesn't let it. The Professor nods and asks, "Do you think you're ready to take on the world?" Stan was thinking about his opponent, and even after the fight with his friends. A smile creeps on his face, and he says, "The world should be happy that's not my weight class." Professor nods and says, "Then let's go get them, Tiger." Much better.